No prisoners. Crime, punishment, and EPWs during SHTF WROL. During SHTF, the criminal justice system will not be functioning. This video will be a philosophical discussion on the issues regarding how prepper groups will deal with this void. I may make mention of some techniques in connection with this topic, but a detailed examination of them will have to wait for a future video. Let us first define the purpose of our current or rule of law criminal justice system. In its current form, the American criminal justice system focuses upon correction of bad behavior, punishing the evildoer, and forcing restitution. The main effect is to make society safer by quarantining the dangerous criminals inside detention facilities. A collateral aim is to have a deterrent effect. In ancient times, justice was left to the wrong party or to his surviving family members to pursue. Even where courts existed, there was no official to represent either the victim or the accused. The investigation and prosecution was the responsibility of the victim. Duels, private wars, and vergeld, aka blood money, were ways in which murders were adjudicated. Branding offenders for non-capital offenses with different letters marked them for all to see what they had done. In this way, even if the felon were to move on to another area, his past would follow him. During normal times, we have a national database to record and track felons. How will the word be spread after SHTF? During SHTF, we will be plunged into a similar situation to that of the ancient past. How each group will handle it will depend on their shared values and how closely they want to observe the principles contained in our rule of law criminal justice system. I will use some scenarios to illustrate the challenge. Number 1. Your group is attacked by marauders in a pseudo-military manner. Your group prevails, and now you have 3 enemy prisoners of war, or EPWs. 2 of them are wounded, one severely with a gunshot wound to the abdomen, and the other with a through-and-through to the bicep. Prisoner number 3 is a 15-year-old that was the son of the dead patrol leader. What do you do with these prisoners? Do you even take prisoners? Or do you shout, "No prisoners," like Lawrence of Arabia did when he had been too long in the desert? Do you disarm the 15-year-old and send him home? What are the possible repercussions of doing so? Do you have the ability to kill a human being that no longer poses an immediate threat to you? During ROL, you have a moral and legal duty to use only that force which is reasonable and necessary to protect the innocent, and to render aid to the bad guy wounded, if possible. Does the moral aspect still apply during SHTF? If you decide to detain them for interrogation, where will you hold them? How much manpower can you spare for that task? How about food and water? What happens after the interrogation? Slavery had its roots in a conquering tribe asserting authority over the survivors of the vanquished tribe. They were in effect EPWs and were made to labor for the benefit of the winning tribe, also known as "to the victors go the spoils." Will you have a practice of forced labor in order to atone for wrongdoing? Scenario 2. One of your group's teenage girls reports that she was raped by a man from an adjacent group. How do you investigate the report? If the report is credible, how do you apprehend the suspect? Do you hold a trial? Whom will act as judge? What is the sentence if found guilty? Do you have a jail? If you sentence someone to jail, you have the same resource issues as in the EPW scenario, only for a much longer time. Scenario 3. You catch someone shooting one of your cows and butchering it. What do? During ROL, crimes against property do not justify the use of deadly force. The story may be different during WROL. That cow represents more than wealth. It means survival. Number 4. A member of your group is caught stealing from another member. Who is the judge for offenses within your group? Number 5. A member of your group is found to have been stealing from another group. Does your group chip in and buy off or bail out the other group to get your guy off the hook? Number 6. A member of your group is caught sleeping on guard duty. In the military, this is called dereliction of duty, and if during a time of war could technically result in a summary court-martial and execution. I am not suggesting that preppers do that, but there must be some method of correction applied to prevent repeat offenses and deter others from sleeping on duty. On to other forms of punishment. Fines and restitution. Since cash will likely be of no value, the restitution would most likely be paid in labor or in goods. These would be in lieu of a harsher penalty, such as banishment. A fine would be something owed to the group, and restitution would be to the person that was the victim. Obviously, constructing a jail or modifying one of your buildings to serve that purpose is probably unrealistic for the individual group or clan. In time, and as groups or clans link into a community, a central village may form, either in an existing town or as a new entity. If enough resources for such an endeavor exist, along with sufficient demand, then perhaps a jail can be created. This, of course, signifies at least a partial return to rule of law, beginning at the grassroots. On a related note, what do you do with a member of your group that is not engaging in criminal behavior, but is acting out in a way that is dangerous to himself or others? This includes psychotic episodes, untreated mental illness, or perhaps dementia. How will you securely confine them? Well, on the topic of prisoners, an ancillary point to ponder is, what is to become of those who are incarcerated when SHTF happens? You may tell yourself that there is no prison nearby, so it is not your problem. What about the county or city jail? What will the correction officers do when SHTF? Will they cast open the doors and set them all free? Will they keep all of them locked down and walk off the job, leaving them to starve? Will they be selective as to which get released and which get a death by starvation sentence? The only offenses that would be of concern during SHTF should be real crimes. I am speaking of the difference between mala prohibita and mala in se. The first are laws regarding behavior that is bad because the king or legislature says it is so, such as speeding, using drugs, fishing without a license. The second term refers to acts that are evil unto themselves, such as murder, rape, and theft. I would add burglary, arson, kidnapping, and assault. So which laws, again, which type of laws would be in effect, or would your group or community enforce during SHTF? You will notice that I make no recommendations or few recommendations on your course of action. The standards must be agreed upon by the members of your group, and as in each retreat group coalesces into a larger community, you will have to arrive at your own conclusions as to what standards will be enforced as to crime and punishment, and what is deemed appropriate in your situation, and what is consistent with your values, the shared values of your community. One recommendation I would make is to adhere as closely as possible to the principles embodied in the United States Constitution. I look forward to hearing your comments on this topic. and engaging in discussion now before SHTF.